Check. Hello. Can you hear me?
Check.
Shelton.
We're on.
We're on.
Okay, do you have, good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
We just wanted to go through everything to make sure we're on the same page and we've got everything correct. So we've got Article 6 is TA,
Mhm.
Article 8, Article 10. You guys let's throw an extra one in there.
I know.
Relates to 8.
Yes,
Yeah.
it relates to 8 though. We have compensation. You guys presented supplements that we TA'd on. The salary selection schedule, the no insurance premium increase, the MOU for working remotely during planning days, hiring MOU for hiring for NNNOO, and the MOU for early transfer process. And then we also have the MOU for
Subbing.
extra pay for sub coverage.
And future teachers and gains and St. John's.
Yes, that sounds
Mhm.
correct. Okay. All right. Well, I know you guys have diff pay that you're going to share with us, but we are pleased with the outcome of negotiations this year, and we appreciate the change in tone and professionalism that was shown. So.
Okay, so I have, just for the hurricane makeup MOU,
Ah.
which is, here you go, Kevin.
Oh.
So we talked about it, and obviously it's early, right, early in the season. So you'll see that the language is connected to what we've done in the past. We did talk to Mr. Forster and Mr. DeGutis about this today. So basically just in reference to makeup for Hurricane Idalia, that both parties agree, and those are the two options, similar to what we've had in the past. So nothing, there's going to be no substantive change to it other than change the date and reference the hurricane. If you want to just review that, Annie.
Okay.
We'll have to do this next week for Sugesta.
And yes, because it does relate to both bargaining unit, and we did put both on it as well. So. Okay. While you're reviewing that, do you want me to go into diff pay?
Yeah.
Okay, so my qualifier with diff pay is that it was quick, right? We did get a group together post Monday session, Tuesday morning, and it had representation from both sides. And Michelle was there, and committee members were remote as well. So post that, we just had a philosophy of what the committee wanted us to research, and then made those numbers work with the schools that would be involved. So I say that to just as a qualifier that in the past there would have been more time. And I know we want to go through it, and I'll explain it, but there may be things that you want to look at as well that require a little bit more discussion. Okay, so similar to the first MOU, I will say in philosophy, the tenets of it haven't changed, right? So what are we looking at? We're looking at the expectation that our Title I schools, right, that they are looked at in this vein, and also high poverty schools. And we qualify that as direct serve more than 40%, which is sort of consistent and similar to what we've done in the past. So the waves or the discussion would be the first wave that the committee wanted to look at was your Title I schools and high poverty schools and all of the teachers in those schools. So that was the first philosophical, not a tier, just the first group that was discussed and is in there. Secondary to that then with ESE teachers in your Title I schools, ESE teachers outside of your Title I schools. And without any specificity of it being self-contained teachers, ESC teachers broadly. Included in that discussion were SLPs and school psychologists, which were in that bargaining unit, which are obviously very hard to fill as well. So you take all of our Title I high poverty schools, that was the first wave, and that's a substantial number. Then you take your ESC, which again is a big number, and then ESC outside of that. So then obviously the tenets of the agreement looks also at hard to fill positions, and those there are your science, reading, and math, and those are really your secondary positions, right? So secondary schools. So then that was the next sort of tier, the next kind of group that was looked at. You can see the amount that was allocated to that, and then an amount allocated if they are doing a partial day or X number of periods. Why you see high priority teaching position there gains is that they are not Title I. So Evelyn Hamlin would be Title I. So that's the only distinction there. So when you look at the numbers, you'll see it as being $750. Was where it ended up when you terms of number of teachers. 791 of our instructors are in Title I. And then again, if they are Title I, and that's a philosophy change with the committee, not a philosophy change, just really from your side was, even if I'm at a Title I school, I'm still, they still wanted to reward you if you're in the ESC classroom in Title I or in any of the hard to fill. So there was an additional $100 there. And then the other philosophical difference from last year, or the other change, was the psychologist and SLP.
Okay.
The reason it says when we look at approximately is because when we added that up, and again, we're putting these numbers in quickly, it came to $962,000. So there's $37,000 that's still left over. We do look at growth. So if you come in January before that deadline, you will obviously be awarded. And so we left a little bit of money in there, which is really traditional or really standard in order to make sure that we can capture that group. So from a numbers perspective, you're looking at Title I employees of 791, ESC teachers within there was 177, and then you look at your math, science, reading Title I, and then we took the numbers of outside of Title I and just really made the maths work, similar to what we did with the proposal for compensation. So there isn't much change. It's still heavily geared towards the ideas that require us to do differentiated pay, with the exception, I think, as I mentioned, of SLPs, school psychologists, and then separately awarding those if they are in those schools. You will, obviously, you just mentioned it, Morgan, but we did also sign MOUs for St. John's Tech and Evelyn Hamlin independent of this, but that was the will of the committee. You can see at the bottom there, and this language was consistent from last year. When we pay, we'll pay in a separate check before that date, and they must be employed through the year, and that's the sort of retention aspect of it. And then if we rerun numbers, we would just reserve the right to reconnect with Michelle and that group to kind of qualify them. But and again, I do believe it's good work, and a lot of the conversation was remote today just because of teachers being in classrooms, and I get all that. So we were even discussing it right up to the last minute before. But I think the philosophy is where it needs to be, with just some leverage in case we need to come back to look at numbers.
Right. All right. Well, we appreciate you putting the committee together. But we would also hope that we can get this started earlier in following years.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. We're going to need, what, 15 minutes to discuss it,
Okay.
and then
We'll probably come right here.
is there anything else?
No,
Okay.
just for the group, though, I was going to read the names of the schools. You want me to do that?
For
or no?
Title I
Yeah.
high poverty? Okay.
So Crookshank, Hartley, Osceola, Mason, Cashelinas, Southwoods, Webster. This is all from the committee today. Sebastian, Gamble, and Murray would be your
All right, thanks.
We on,
We're
Jesse?
good.
Okay. So we are good with TAing diff pay.
What I noticed. It's funny watching it on TV, by the way. I had all of you on the big screen watching on Monday.
Lots of
Couldn't
mannerisms
see
that I
the bald
apparently
head
do.
down there.
You
Could
know
see
what?
you. Could see you. I could see.
Yes, Morgan.
He's
So
kidding.
with the MOU for hurricane makeup, an issue that we ran into last year was a lot of people had taken the hurricane days off in order to attend hospital or medical appointments, and then were not able to attend those appointments. So they wanted to get their sick day back, and they were told that that could not happen. So we are wanting to put some sort of language in here that they can get that sick day back if they want to show that they've made up the hours somewhere. Because it ended up being quite a few people who were not able to actually attend the appointments that they had planned on attending.
We're not talking about personal day. Personal
Right.
day would be if they took a sick day to do a doctor's appointment. That's what.
So what does that language look like? Did you?
We were hoping we could work through it together, because that would just, it makes more sense on your end. You guys have an idea of what it would look like on your end.
I'll defer to you for some help in this.
Because the approved leave also can be interpreted as FMLA or whatever, and of course, we're not talking about those
Right.
people.
Mhm.
Right, so that's kind of where it needs to be. Sorry, Mr. King. Correct, so I would say we need to word it so that it is specific to one day of sick leave that is non-FMLA, non-personal,
Non-maternity leave or.
which would be
FMLA.
FMLA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So non-personal and not personal. Then I'm trying to think of that process. Because if somebody truly was sick and was homesick,
But if a person is able to make up the hours regardless, why does it matter if they were homesick or not? They're going to make up the hours somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it's an unreasonable request.
Yeah.
So, let's just try and start drafting some language together. So, the first piece would definitely be,
So employees that were on pre-approved leave prior to the event will have the opportunity to make up time.
No.
employees who, no,
No.
employees who,
We're out on sick leave.
Oh, no,
On
not pre-
sick leave.
Who used sick leave or yeah.
That
maybe
was-
who took a sick day,
Who took a
Yes.
sick day?
one day,
Who
because we couldn't get the appearance.
Yes,
correct.
took a sick day
Right, on this day.
that was not related. Well, I guess a sick day, if we're excluding
And I
personal
would-
days.
well, but I would put in parentheses,
Not personal.
not FMLA, not personal.
Okay.
And then, and put something in there that does qualify it, you know, who were,
Who were not able,
and maybe we don't.
No,
Maybe we
because
just
I think
just let it
Yeah.
go
Just leave
and
it.
say.
we're gonna get too into the weeds.
May request,
Return of the sick day.
return of their sick hours.
No, because you wouldn't request your sick hours to be,
We have
Right.
to return them
Yeah.
back to them.
oh, you would return them back. Yes,
Right.
yes,
Correct. So
yes,
they
yes.
need to request that we return their sick day.
Yeah.
So who are they requesting it to?
Let's have them send it to me. And
Okay.
then that way I can field them to payroll.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and just have it say just via email to Kathy Weber.
And it may not be that many people.
Correct.
I mean, this is,
Doesn't.
hopefully is our only hurricane that we have.
Yeah.
I just probably
Would-
jinxed you.
Question, would there be a situation where someone took a personal day, like if I found out at 3:00 my daycare was going to be closed the next, no, because they would have known, because the school district
Yeah.
closed at an early enough time that you would have known. Just trying to think through
Yeah,
that.
you'll still get those questions.
What about emergency day manager? Is anything about that? Or is that the same as sick day?
I think they're.
Well, it's
No.
still, it would be listed as emergency.
Because it's,
So
yeah,
it's
because
listed.
it's
So you
listed in
could-
here, so they,
Do we want to include emergency?
Yeah, non-emergency. So non-FMLA,
non-vacation.
well, they don't have vacation.
Well, it's for suggested too.
Oh, it's- sorry, Tammy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's written in here.
Yes.
For both.
Correct.
Okay,
And I think you want to break up that last sentence.
yeah. So employees who took a sick day, not FMLA, not personal, not vacation, on August 30th, may send a request via email to Kathy Weber to return hours for that day. And then I guess they would have to use number 2 where they're gonna make up.
Correct.
That needs to be stated.
Yes,
And follow procedures.
And follow procedures in number 2,
Yep.
as outlined in number 2.
okay. And then just the other thing is that you guys have procedures, and I briefly talked to Wayne about this, but procedures are included on attached document from payroll, so we would need to look.
So we
Yeah,
talked
what
prior
does that look
about, we would push out a,
So do you want to strike through that? The procedures are not going to change.
Okay.
They're going to be the same ones we've always used. What happens is Tricia sends it to the secretary. It tells the secretary how to have their staff complete the log, that they keep the logs.
There will be a log. That was my-
Yeah. So, and we'll make sure that we include the language about the only update will be including the language about the sick time, the sick day in her procedure.
Okay. So, I mean, you guys can either send this to me and I can revise it, or I can give it to you. Let me write it out, Peter, 'cause it's a.
Are you amenable to this last sentence in the top paragraph, just splitting it into 2? We read it like 6 times and then we finally said
There's
it.
a,
The sentence with a period.
it should be a
and
period, yeah. Okay, I will rewrite it so that it makes sense.
So while she's doing that, since we are agreed to this, I just wanted to, Wayne, and Kathy probably have talked to you in the past about what we did with ratification. So we're planning on doing ratification Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So we'll advertise, we'll start notifying the employees. They've actually been notified. And then we will we'll share the agreement. And then Kathy in the past has sent all of the tentative agreements to the principals and secretaries and then they push it out to all of their staff at their school saying, here are the tentative agreements. They print out 2 copies, put them in locations that people are at the sign-in sheet or in the lounge or whatever. We will also have additional copies as well. So could you help us with that again this year?
Well, yes, I'll talk to Kathy. What does the help look like? Because,
It's an email. It's an email and you
Sure.
just attach
Yeah.
all of the
We will.
documents to it.
And then,
You can copy my email, just cut and paste and copy it and shoot it to the principal.
yeah, and then it's just letting principals know that most of our building reps will be doing it, but we have some schools that do not have building reps. And so like Michelle, Kate, myself, and about probably 4 FEA staff are going to come help us with this ratification because we are also combining it with the collection of interest cards, which we have to do according to PERC now because we're not at 60%. Our recertification date is coming up very soon. So we want to try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and do our interest cards along with And we don't disrupt the classrooms. We, usually we have someone, like I've stayed at Liberty Pines in the front office or in the teacher's lounge or in the media center, and I'm there, and people just usually come and vote during planning or before school or after school. We don't run around and disrupt any of the classes. So if that's usually, Kathy usually puts that in the email as well, that says, please just work with your building rep or staff. And then, so if you could help us with that, that helps us in the long run, get this done so that we are finished. You guys can get it to the board. And
I did, oh yeah, I did it, but I guess you can too.
it's fine. Oh, here, I can hold on that. So I think the other question is, when would teachers expect to get paid?
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll need to update you on that now that we know what
Turnaround for
amounts are.
ratification.
We just need to work with IT and I'll be able to, obviously, we want to do it the sooner the better. I mean, obviously, this will go to the November board packet, so it certainly won't be until November. I think we will work as hard as we can to do this before Christmas, because I think winter break, sorry. I think everybody would like to have this by winter break. But because of the nuance of the teaching, all the years of teaching experience, we want to make sure that we do it right and not fast.
Correct.
So we'd like to do it both quickly. And so I'll keep you posted. We'll probably have our first, Jay will kind of be able to, when's our HR payroll IT meeting next? Okay, so if we don't have one soon, we'll probably just need to pull everybody together and do one, and then we can,
So it'd be reasonable to expect it around winter break.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
So we'll have ratification complete and counted by Friday night of next week. So
And then we are going into a full book year next year.
God.
So we would like to get a move on that. So we're thinking like maybe we start March, if you guys would be amenable to that, so we can maybe then be finished again by September, late September. So that would be something that we got to kind of think about on our radar.
Supplement committees that we'll probably need to meet. Diff pay.
We'll need to get together
We could
before
probably do all of the
September, yeah.
language, right? We can get all the language out of the way and then do compensation.
All right.
Can't believe we have to have full book again already. I feel like we just finished.
Oh, that's right. I was like,
Probably not that much, Mike.
It's good to all year long kind of keep tabs on those things that we talk
Mhm.
about, so then you just go in.
To fix.
see how things are working. Yeah.
So Phyllis, you gonna print? Yep. Okay, so Phyllis is doing that. There's two things in closure. One was the request for the PLC cohort work, committee work that we are committed to with Michelle and whomever else from that team. And that would also need to start pretty quickly, right? Because it is, I think, beneficial for both sides. And I know we worked on language this year. It is a passion of the superintendent or superintendent, so we want to continue that, but we want to make sure that we get better with the two, and that's the whole process for it. And then you mentioned, tone, and so we appreciate that. I think, we also reflect tone, both sides. And words matter. And so we want to make sure that this is a long game. We're in this for a couple of years, right, to work through some big picture issues. And we are committed to our word. We do, and I think you've seen that this year is, looking at teachers and the value that we put in there. And then we just appreciate you looking at the budget differently as well than maybe we did in the past. But we and through our superintendent value teachers, and I think through the course of multiple angles this year, because of the tone, we got to a good place. But I think it's the beginning. But I just want to make sure that we continue in that trend as well. And so maybe earlier committee work as well is important. But we feel words matter, and we want to make sure that we honor our word as well. So,
I agree. All right.
Mr. DeGutis?
Way to go.
Trustee Sangwell?
Good job,
Oh,
teams.
no.